Yeah, why not? If we're just sitting around.
Sitting around shooting the breeze and not recording. Welcome everybody to Intangible Commerce Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday to you.
Hump day.
Hump day.
Hump
So,
day.
when's the last time anybody's been to a mall? Dave and I were just talking about this. I think the last time I went to a mall, where it seems like every time I go to a mall, it depends on the area, but it's usually pretty empty. Not a lot of folks go to the mall, I don't think.
Yeah, so I'll give you my theory on that. This is where I live, in the DFW area, at least what's happened. So a lot of our malls have been sold and are transitioning into, they're still malls, but they've lost all their, the anchor stores? They've lost their anchor stores.
Mm.
So we only have like one real still anchor store mall, and the rest of them are just desolate, like just places of just random businesses you've never heard of. Which
No, it's the same thing. Every time I go through there, it's like someone's trying to sell me a gold watch or It's like I'm walking the streets in New York. Like, hey, you want a cell phone? They got like you want a watch? It's like, no, I don't want any of that stuff. I don't want a watch. I don't want a phone. I'm good.
Yep. Yeah,
I'm
I don't
good.
know. I don't know the demographic of the the mall walker of who goes. But I will tell you that as the weather gets hotter here, I think more people do go. I don't know if they're buying, but I do know they're going, because when I went this last time, it was crowded, which I was shocked.
There is one mall here in Louisville, Mall St. Matthews, shout out, and the Oxmoor Mall, actually. So they're basically right next to each other. Those are the only two malls that have survived and are still proper malls, have good shops and things, but they also have the movies are attached to them. There's a lot of restaurants attached to them.
Yep.
So it's they sort of early on changed and shifted their focus from just a bunch of shops to having other experiences. And I think that speaks a lot to, if you look at how e-commerce works these days, what's the biggest, hottest item right now? Subscription box. Choose your own flavor, choose your own experience.
Yep. And I wonder how, you'd have to almost do go through and take a vote on, do people really still have to touch things before they buy it? And that opens up a whole new conversation around returns and free returns, and just buy it, return it later, because you probably will forget about it or keep it.
I do that all the time. I'm going to send this back, and I just never do it.
I think they bet on that, and there's probably a lot of good metrics around how that's changed the way we buy. I mean, I don't have to see it to buy it, because when I go to the mall, I'm kind of just looking. I rarely buy anything at a mall. Probably the only thing I do at a mall, seriously, this is funny, is that, maybe clothes,
shoes.
You're right.
For me, shoes.
And I get I wear Oakleys. Shout out to Oakley. Love Oakleys. And I wish they'd sponsor us. But I always go get them cleaned if there's like an Oakley store or a Sunglass Hut or something.
Really?
Because they'll clean them for you, free.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So you take the glasses and you're like, hey, my glasses are filthy. Can you clean these? And they just clean them for you.
Yeah, they do.
I did not know that.
So you got that. Oakley. Yep. So you got that. Then you got the food aspect. If the mall food, if you're into that. And
I mean, for those listening, I think what we've learned is that David is so bougie he can't be bothered to clean his own glasses. No, that's fine. That
is not the case. That is not the case. By the way, check out. Speaking of bougie, you got to check out my new LinkedIn headshot.
Yeah, for those who don't know, David was at a conference and he got himself a new headshot. He is very proud of it. And I got to say, it's a heck of a headshot. What was the name of that group that was doing it? Do you remember? Oh, you're not going to give them a shout out?
If I remembered, I should, but I do not.
Not going to give them a shout out, but he's going to get.
It was a company.
He loves that. It was somebody doing something with a thing.
Yeah,
at a show.
In logistics. Yeah, that's what
logistics. So speaking of returns, you actually hit on a button that I wanted to talk about today. Give me a number. Guess. How much money do returns cost just e-commerce retailers every year? How much do you think in total?
Mm, I would say $800 million.
800 million. You're close if you consider that it's 600 billion dollars.
What?
Whoa! $600 billion is spent every year in just returns alone. And if you remember, we spoke a little bit about this a few weeks back, how Amazon decided they're going to start charging $1 and placing a high return on these products so they can reduce that number, is what they're trying to do anyway. But JC Penney came out with a whopping $8 per return.
And is
$8,
that, well, first of all, I'm shocked at the number.
right?
800 billion?
800, no, 600 billion.
I mean, 600 billion?
Yep. So
And
that
that's
was
money, but that's money spent just by, paying the freight and processing, like everything combined with that?
well, no, that's just the return costs. So how much does
Wow.
it cost to get that item back to the retailer? So this data was put together by a company called InShift, and they gathered a bunch of data between high volume and return data across a global market of e-com
Wow.
retailers.
That's
It
shocking
is
to
an
me.
astronomical number.
The problem with that
Astronomical.
too is, how like in our role we always try to say, okay, that's a big number. Let's reduce that, and people will buy. It's like, well, hold on a second. You're talking the psyche of a buyer. You can't reduce. How do I know what I'm going to buy in return? Now, I'm not a
Yeah,
big returner in the
yeah.
sense of I buy a ton of stuff on Amazon. I'm shameful to say I just buy stuff on Amazon, and I do return some things, but it's a legit reason. It's either the quality wasn't there. I
Right.
had one the other day. I ordered some pillows. I've been trying to find a new pillow, and I ordered them, and they got delayed, which never hardly happens, but every once in a while. And it got delayed to the point where Amazon told me, they're like, look, if you don't see it by Sunday, come back here and get a refund. So that's exactly what I did. Sunday came around, it still wasn't here. I asked a refund. Well, guess what? It
The item
delivered
showed up.
yesterday, but I had already reordered another set. So guess what I'm gonna have to do? I'm gonna have to
Oh
return them.
man.
The
So
set I
okay,
reordered.
exact same thing happened to me. Funny enough, I didn't buy the new product. I was like, well, screw it. Maybe I'll find it locally, and they showed up.
Yep.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. I reached out to Amazon. Hey, do I pay for these? How do I pay for these? What do I do now? I got the item.
Yep.
I got my money back.
Yep.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah. That does happen. I think that's part of their ecosystem of it. That's just part of the process. But
Well, you
I'm
know who
still
ends up
shocked.
paying for it though? That's the problem with Amazon, and I think any of those listening who is a merchant who is currently or has ever sold on Amazon understands that Amazon does not care about the merchant; they care about the customer. So
Correct.
me as a merchant, if I'm selling this water bottle and for whatever reason it's at shipping via FBA, mind you, so Amazon's own logistics service is screwed up. Maybe I'm talking out of my tail. Maybe Amazon does cover the merchant and say, hey, that's our bad. We're going to pay for that. But
Yep.
I bet you got to file a claim. I bet you got to go through a process and jump through hoops to make that happen.
Yep.
They've never been on the side of the merchant. It's always
Mm-mm.
customer, 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 which is
No.
why they're so popular. So many people use it and why it's so necessary. But man, someone's paying for that.
I wonder. I'm going to throw this out here and see if this might be the way they'll handle returns in the future. You know how you pay a Prime membership to have access? Well, I have two questions, so I don't want to forget to ask the other one. Just reminded me of another one. But staying with the Prime membership thing, if you have a Prime membership, will Amazon eventually come back and say, hey, we're going to charge you an extra $50 a year for the privilege of returning?
Oh man, you're probably right. Yeah, you're probably right. At some point, I can see that, or maybe not returning in general, but having like, oh, if you want to use Kohl's and UPS or whatever, if you want to use our convenient partnerships, it's $25 for that
Mm-hmm.
service.
Yeah.
I can absolutely see that, and I hope we didn't just put the idea in their bucket. I really,
No, if we did, they can just send me some royalty checks. I'm good with that.
I mean, that ain't gonna
No.
happen.
So the other question I had though is, and this is just more me curiosity, and maybe someone in the channel that's watching. I think we have at least
32.
maybe 9. Oh, 32. Wow,
32.
man, we are.
32.
We're on our way, dude. We are on our way.
Just a freaking rocket
We'll be
ship,
on
you and me.
Sirius before you know it. Is it called Sirius XM? Yeah, I think it is.
I'd
We'll have
prefer
our
if you
own-
be a little more serious sometimes, if we're being honest.
Sometimes. Well, I have a problem with that. Whole different category. But my question on the Prime is, if you have Prime and I don't have Prime, which I do have Prime, but let's say I don't, and we order the same product on Amazon. First of all, can I order on Amazon? And I think I can. Number two, when do I get my product? What's Prime really doing for me?
I think it's that 2-day free shipping, right?
So they're going to charge me for shipping? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the difference. Like,
so every time I order.
Do you use Amazon Prime Video? I do.
Well, I do, but someone brought that up to me and they said, well, what's the advantage of having Prime? I'm like, well, the video part of it. But they said, well, if I order the same part, am I not going to get it at the same time? And I'm like, I don't know how that works. I've always had it, so I guess you pay for shipping.
You're definitely not going to get it, I don't think, in the same time frame.
And you're going to pay for shipping.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I've had Prime for so long, I can't remember
That's what I said.
Was like after or before Prime.
That's sad, if you think about it.
I mean, I was once a peasant, too, without my Prime.
There was one day where I had to go around and shop online and pay shipping. And
there was a day when I had to drive around town and find the best deal. And
now, I'll give you another scenario. These are all fun scenarios, and I know this may not be where we wanted to go today, but this is another interesting one. So I buy a lot of parts through a really big parts manufacturer for car stuff. And what's interesting is every time I place an order with them, they make me place an order for $110 to get free shipping.
Yeah, the minimum.
Right?
Yep.
So what I find myself doing though is every time I go to do that, if I don't have that minimum, I'll just go find the part like on Amazon. And the funny part is a lot of times I'll actually just buy it straight from Amazon if it costs a few dollars more because it's still cheaper than paying the handling fee.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a fascinating move too. And I'm wondering if we'll start to see more of that, especially on this returns thing, because think about it, they don't have to make the money on the return. They could just make the money on the front end, and that way they're covered for the return too.
That's an interesting thing. I need to look more into this, but I was looking at why you mentioned it's about the Prime membership, and I was curious, and I see on here that Prime Access, for instance, is just $6.99 a month for qualifying government assistance recipients, including SNAP, EBT, and Medicaid, which is incredible to me. So people can use government assistance programs to gain access to Amazon Prime for, instead of $14.99 a month or $139 per year, they pay $6.99 a month. I don't know that I understand that. I don't understand why does someone need, I mean, maybe it's medications and stuff. And I know we also have Prime Day coming up on July 11th. Yep. Those of you watching are watching this on July 5th. So, hey, shout out to our country, right? 4th of July. We just had it. Everybody had a big celebration. All the fingers and toes are intact, as you can see here. We're good to go.
I didn't get any damage from fireworks
No damage.
At all.
No firework damage at all whatsoever.
None.
We're totally not filming this the week before.
Why would we ever do that? And they don't do that on TV either. So
they don't do that on TV. No, they film the episodes day of. Crazy.
But boy, am I full from all the hot dogs and the hamburgers.
I think I gained 5-6 pounds at least. I mean, that's why I look pudgier than normal, right?
Let's get that right. I was going to mention that, but
I was going to say something about that.
Well, I don't want to sound mean, but
yeah, I don't want to get involved. But I heard somebody say something about you being a little fat than normal.
It's funny.
What about this Prime Day? Do you ever find yourself getting too deep on Prime Day since we're on this topic?
I'm not a big. I mean, I will buy stuff. But I don't like plan for it. Like if you go to my Amazon box, cart, I'm not preparing. what I do try to do is I'm not buying a lot of stuff, like the impulse stuff right now. That way I can wait and see if I can get it on Prime
Okay,
Day.
so
But I'm not
you're kind of
planning though.
holding off a little bit
Yeah, I mean, and I'm just not as buy happy, if you will, right now on
on the
stuff I don't
Prime
need.
Day.
Yep.
I'm gearing up for maybe buying a couple of laptops here. I could use a new. I don't have one now. Actually, I want to get one of those. What are they called? iPads.
Oh,
Lost the word.
yeah,
Haven't had an iPad in years. I used
they're
to have
nice.
one. I
Nice
really
to
enjoy
have.
it, especially on flights. So what I do have is a laptop that folds completely, right? So I can use it, and they don't ever give me any trouble about using that as an iPad, basically. But it's a full size laptop,
Mm-hmm.
so it's
Mm-hmm.
huge. It's cumbersome. It's not
Yep.
as lightweight. So I'm
Sure.
thinking about grabbing one of those.
That might be on sale. I mean, there's probably gonna be a lot of cool stuff. I'd be curious to see, how the prices are, and especially with everything just so expensive right now.
I mean, listen, economy is a big hot topic item, that a lot of people are looking at and going, gee whiz. And I think, too, as we approach, this upcoming election, we try to stay pretty non political, but that's put a lot of market uncertainty out there. And I tell you what, man, people are cautious and they've got every right to be.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm looking forward to see how that's going to change. And we're still a year and a half ish, from the election, but
Yeah.
you'll start to see, depending on the players that get in, depending on a lot of the debates, we'll start to get, I think the economy will be obviously a hot topic, and then
Yeah.
that will drive markets and pricing and, heck, even like the oil industry,
Exactly. I was
all
going
of
to
that
go
stuff.
there. I was going to go right there because you look at, and I guess it's really approaching most elections, there's been a bit of surety, right? I was sure that Obama was going to run again. I was sure that Bush was going to run again. I'm not sure that Biden can run again. I
Well,
mean,
yeah,
he's just, he's so old.
right.
He's
And I'm
so
not sure if you
old.
may not have a third party that can actually come step up and say, hey, and I think people would be, I mean, if I was going to do it, right now is when I would do it if I'm a third party candidate going,
Same.
y'all want another choice? Here you go.
I'm another
Here's what I
choice.
am.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I
I
mean, the two
expect that
party
too.
system is what it is. But yeah, I
Yep.
mean, I don't know that. Is Biden has that been confirmed? Is the incumbent gonna go for it, or do we
I
know? I
think
don't know if we
so.
know yet.
Everything I've seen says yes, that he is going to run.
Yeah,
But I mean, his approval rating's so low. This is why this will be so
yeah,
fascinating to see whatever side of the spectrum that people are on. You do
sure.
have to look at the overall numbers and think, first of all, could you win an election at 30% approval rating? Man, I don't see how, but maybe. I don't know.
History has told us no. If we
No,
look at
yeah, I
last,
just
the
right.
last time that had happened, it's always been no.
Yep.
I think Bush was one of the only ones I can recall that sort of approached election year. And this is back when I was in the Marine Corps. He approached election year sort of in a deficit, but by the time he got to it, it was like, yeah, this is
Hmm.
obvious.
Hmm.
um,
Well, that'll be interesting to see. I mean, all of that will affect all of us. And the other thing I keep hearing too is, I know we're jumping topics here, but we only got a limited amount
that's
of
what we
time.
do.
That's exactly what we do. Is I keep hearing restructuring happening. So just in the last day, in one day, I know two people personally that have had the CEOs of their companies replaced.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Two
Uh,
personally. That's the only ones I know.
it makes you wonder what's going on.
Now, one of them was a public company. One was not. And then the one that was not was a family ran operation that, I mean, that's just different, right? Then that starts a whole nother conversation around, the family side of it. But yeah, just two that I know of.
So in May, there was the highest total of CEO departures in a single month since the data began tracking in 2002. It
Wow.
was 224 CEOs were replaced, up from 114 in April, which was up from 150 in May of 2002. So this is sort of trending that data, but in a single month. And there was one CEO, I got to find this article, I'll try to post it, who was actually replaced by AI.
Oh boy.
I don't see how.
Yeah.
But
I don't get that, but I mean, I guess they can try anything.
it was okay, wait. This is going to make more sense. I've got the article here. And I'm not sure how accurate this is. I've never used this source before, but hey,
It's on the internet. It's true.
It's got to be true. The company is known as NetDragon Websoft. It is a China-based company, and it appointed an AI robot it calls Tangyu as its CEO in August. Okay.
So decisions are done through AI.
Which, talk about limiting your information, right? I mean, I spoke about this at a podcast on Supply Chain Brain at a home delivery world. I hope that's going to get posted somewhere soon. I can share that around. But AI, if you look at the systems of AI, right? If I'm building an AI for my company, or I'm investing in it and I'm putting money, it's going to be for my proprietary company. And maybe you are doing the same thing. And let's say that we're both a WMS software, but my WMS, we do a lot of pharma. We do a lot of serialization of government programs. And your WMS does a lot of e-com stuff, right? What's going to be the benefit of my pharma company's AI doing anything for your e-com focused AI? It's not. The silos of information don't cross-pollinate in such an environment where it's proprietarily held and maintained. It would only benefit if those two systems had a collective brain, so to speak, a collective repository of information, which can then be digested and used in a cross-pollination type format. And that's just not the case.
No, not yet. I mean, I think we all know that the information that's coming out of AI has been, I don't say it's been manipulated, but it's not directly, it's not a true understanding of both sides, and it's not just perfect, I guess is what I want to say.
Right. It's just, it is nothing new. It's just we're more aware of it. That's all.
Correct. Because I've ran some tests with that chat GPT or whatever on certain things, and it's really funny to see the outcomes of what you get.
And it gets better and better because ChatGPT is one of those systems of many that are out there that has that repository, right? So I'm putting stuff into it. I'm asking it to refine. I'm giving it more information. So it's then understanding, oh, this isn't how I should explain it. Let me do it differently. So there's a ton that goes behind the scenes. And in a repository situation like ChatGPT, it can get better. People say it learns. It doesn't learn. It's making decisions based on your user input. If I gave it the wrong input, I could sit here and give it the wrong input 1,000,000 times today. You'd go on tomorrow and enter the same phrase, and you're going to get the wrong input because I told it that's the right input.
Yep.
It's not smart. It's not a brain. It's not thinking. It's just knowing, oh, that was what the user wanted. I should do that again.
I mean, it's almost everything will shift. I think this is what you'll find next in technology is things that we use every day will become smarter. Think about your routines. So every time when you come home, and I'm making this up, I don't know if people do this, but every time you come home,
this is what you do.
Right, exactly. If you come home, right? A lot of people don't even leave the house, but if you come home, you turn on this light, you go in, you turn the TV on, this channel. I mean, you have a pattern. And what I think will start to happen is, because not that we'll reach the max of technology as far as TVs and stuff, but come on, things have got to start getting now just smarter because 4K, 8K, 16K. I mean, how much better can it look? It already looks perfect. So I think you'll start to see this where the smart home will really be smart. It'll start to be like, hey, Ray, I know what you like. I'm going to turn the light on. I'm going to,
Oh, yeah.
whatever it is. I mean,
use
almost
your
like
preference.
like the Jetsons, but that as
A lot
far-fetched as it
like that.
seemed when we were kids, that's not that far off anymore. That's what's coming.
I have a friend who doesn't have a door key. He's
Yeah,
got a
there you
code,
go.
or it reads him
Yes.
in his phone or whatever. And yeah, exactly like that. There's
Yep.
from his phone, he'll go on and say, "Hey, set the
Yep.
house to 67 while he's at work.
Yep.
If you're ready to come home, it automatically does it. It knows he's going to be home soon. We better turn the heat on.
Right.
It's incredible, but it's also kind of scary at the same time for me. I don't
It is.
trust
Well,
it
it
as
is.
much. I guess
It is.
I'm a little on the fence. I think it's really neat. I think it's really cool, but I find myself slow to adopt it.
Yes, and that's what's happening in warehousing in our world in the e-com and fulfillment and call it what you want. Those type of smarts are getting built into these warehouses where now you're less reliant on Joe Blow coming in and doing a job as you are just the job just happens and it gets to a point where maybe you do have to have some sort of interaction, but then everything's just smarter, and that's what I'm excited about. The excitement is what's going to change, or how is it going to get better, faster, stronger.
Better, faster. So to that point, we need to. The job pool is not getting bigger, but companies are getting bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Growth at some point, right? Think of it like an ant farm. I have 100 ants in my ant farm, and every day I get 20 more ants. I can only grow as fast as the 20 will allow me to grow, not the 100, because I need to replace those workers, right? They funnel in and out, in and out, in and out. My workforce is not gaining strength.
Yep.
And that's what we're seeing. Kids these days they're more focused on college. They're more focused on education, which I think is fantastic, by the way. Because my generation, it was almost like, I say that in a funny way, I'm not that old, but I feel like my generation, it was, hey man, work hard. You don't need college, but work hard. Be this. That job pool is small, and we need robotics. We need automation because we're not going to have the workers to sustain growth.
Yep.
Our economy will cap.
Yep.
So that's kind of where we are.
I completely agree. Yeah, it'll start to show itself in how we interact with our customer base. I'll give you an example. Like right now, I had a potential customer approach, and I think we met him at a show. I think we met him at Home Delivery World. Plug for Terrapin. But
Great event.
Yep, it was. But the problem was when I got on the call with them, you could tell it was one of those calls where the guy was like, and already knew. I'm like, uh-oh, he does have a need, but he doesn't know what he doesn't know.
Yeah.
And so I shifted the call into, well, let me help you sell this because we'll find the value. And he's like, okay. I could tell he was like, well, that's interesting. I'm like, and we're going to find it in your picking side. That's where we're going to find it. And all we have to do is flow it. And once we flow it, we'll find it. And that's what we'll use as the value prop.
Absolutely. And speaking of value prop, I want to give you an opportunity, Dave, since we're on the subject, to talk more about our show sponsor and great friend of the show, Lodua. It is a warehouse management software that Dave is referring to, that everybody who's watched all of our episodes. Do we have any long-term fans out there, you think, who's watched every single one of them?
Probably need to give them a badge. You get a badge.
Oh man, I would love to give out some badges. That'd be fantastic. First up, like someone just comments first, like every single time, one of those. Yeah. Eventually, we're gonna get people like that, but probably not yet. So while you get the coughs out, do me a favor and talk us through what the heck is a Lodua?
A Lodua. How much time do I get? What's my time?
As much time as you want.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Whoa.
I'm on this big kick right now of Lodua being, it's a race, right? And you're gonna win a race. If you're gonna win a race, you have to have all these things that come into at the same time, have to all be great. They have to be better than everybody else. And what Lodua gives our customers as winning the race are all the pieces they need to be successful. They can be fast, agile, flexible. They can say yes with confidence to RFPs that come in. And ultimately, the changes that can be made are instantaneous. And I think that is the key what Lodua brings to the market is how quickly can you pivot if your customer comes in tomorrow, or if you're a 3PL, if you get a new customer that says, hey, I want to make a change, or I want to use your service, can you do this? It's a lot easier going, yep, than it is going, let me get back to you. Because when you get back to
Yeah.
them,
And a
somebody else is going to take over.
$50,000 change order. Yeah, we can do
Yeah,
it in 6 weeks.
yep. So none of that exists. So I right now I'm on a big kick about speed, agility, flexibility. How fast can your operation make a change to accommodate what your customers want? And Lodua can do that. And ultimately, the thing I like to do is say, if you can't do it, the guy down the street can. And if
That's
he has
right.
Lodua, you're screwed.
He can do it better than you.
That's right.
It's about competitive advantage. It really is. And softwares like that do bring a competitive advantage. Like you said, the automation it's key. It is key. And if you don't have that ability, somebody else does. If you don't have the robotics integrations to reduce your staffing hours, our people do, and that savings gets extended to the customer. You want to talk about prices going up and going up? Make yourself recession proof.
Yes.
Make yourself inflation proof.
Yes.
Do that by being very, very efficient. I posted an article about Amazon, and they had their highest ever revenue totals in 2022, I think it was, in Q2. Pretty sure it was Q2. And they did that because they introduced a new efficiency throughout their entire logistics network, and it saved them obviously billions of dollars, but it's
Sure.
Amazon.
Yep.
Just incredible amount of money. So,
absolutely.
On that bombshell, I think it's time to end. We're just over the 30-minute mark. I think this is going to make it our longest ever Intangible Commerce episode, which is,
man, this
hey,
one was full of data. These
I'll
are
tell
good
you
when
what.
they flow and there's so much to talk about.
Hey, you go a half hour goes pretty quick, doesn't it?
It really does. That's why I wish every workday was like when you play Xbox. How you look up, you're like, God, I've been on here for freaking 3 hours. How is that possible? But yet, yeah, it's the weirdest thing.
There's so much work to do still.
Mm.
Oh man. Well,
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
let's learn all about David's Call of Duty kill death ratio next week on Intangible Commerce. And
It's not
maybe I'll
good.
even make it out to a Costco. You never know what might happen.
That's gonna happen.
All right, folks. Have a great week.
See you, everybody.